What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. A lot of people ask, hey, Rope Monster, how are you on this permanent vacation? You're constantly just on the beach, eating tacos, making videos. Well, 3 years ago, at just 34 years old, I retired fully. And in today's video, I'm going to give you all the roadmap of exactly how I did that, but you really have to pay attention. There's some pro tips at the end of the video that you will not want to miss, but you can do this with a lot less money than most people think, so let's dig in. Okay guys, in the next 8 to 10 minutes, I'm going to break it all down for you. So step number one is actually, you don't need to go out and earn more money. You need to bump up your savings rate, okay? So whatever it is that you have to do, whether it's get a roommate, for me, I can go into details on how I bumped up my savings rate to 70%. But basically, I cut out alcohol, I cut out dating, I cut out going to the bar, I disciplined myself. I saved every bit of money that I could so that I could invest. And that'll bring us into part two, which is incredibly important, and that's investment strategy and accumulating productive assets. But number one, guys, is obviously pay off your debt first thing and bump up your savings rate. Max it out, gamify it if you have to. Don't eat anything that you don't buy with a coupon. Whatever you have to do to get that savings rate up. It's not about having an advanced degree or earning more money. It's about saving what you have. Okay guys, so you've paid off your credit card debt. You've sold that car that you had a loan on and bought a used car. Good for you. But now what do you do with all that money that you saved? Well, you have to develop an investment strategy that's so good you won't stray away from it. This is what I did. I'm going to break down my exact strategy. Get a pen and paper, pause the video, take notes. Save this video and rewatch this part. I highly encourage that because I'm going to talk about productive assets, but they're very specific types of productive assets. No, I don't invest in crypto. A lot of you ask about crypto. I've never owned it, have no plans to. What I'm talking about are stocks, but these aren't just any kind of stocks. So the stocks, the productive assets that I accumulated had to meet multiple criteria, but the broad criterion are these right here, guys. They have to pay a dividend. This is cash flow that I can use to pay my rent, my utilities, my bills. So every quarter or even every month, these stocks pay dividends. Secondly, they have to be highly optionable, meaning there's a lot of open interest on options. We'll get into this more later. And then three, they have to be undervalued compared to their intrinsic value. So what I'm looking for is high quality stocks. It could be Clorox, PepsiCo, it could be Nike, Microsoft, could be Google. Last year I was buying a lot of Google, which you guys are watching this on YouTube, which is owned by Google. Fantastic company. But what I look for is that they at least pay some cash flow, some type of dividend, and then I make money on the options. So if I want to buy 100 shares, I can sell a put option. If I want to sell 100 shares, I can sell a call option and generate a ton of cash flow, guys. This year I had a position in Starbucks that was a couple years old, and I was selling calls on it constantly, yet they weren't getting assigned. So I was generating cash flow selling calls on Starbucks. Basically, remember this: dividends, options, and long-term capital gains. So if you buy a stock when it's undervalued, you basically can sell it when it reverts to fair value. And that's what I did, guys. So one real-world example of this, post-pandemic, I was buying PepsiCo at like 128, and it's the very first stock that I actually sold after retiring, and I sold it in the 180s. I thought it was worth about 175. I thought it was slightly overvalued, so I sold it and took the capital gains. But while I was waiting, I was collecting those sweet dividends, and those come in when I'm doing absolutely nothing. And so now I know what a lot of you are probably thinking. Well, hey, Rope Monster, I don't have enough money to buy 100 shares at a time. That's fine. So in the beginning, guys, what I was doing was investing consistently every single week, $700-800, usually up around $1,000 every single week, obviously because I paid down any debt I had and I bumped up my savings rate to the max. I was able to do that, but I was buying sometimes even 1 or 2 shares at a time. And once you accumulate enough shares, then you can start messing with options. But The other thing too, guys, is read books to develop your strategy. Peter Lynch, Pat Dorsey, Warren Buffett. Become an expert on managing your portfolio. This is huge, guys, and this is step 3. Become an expert investor. So if you're managing your own portfolio, and you can, and this is why I say you can actually do this with less money than you think. So if you're managing your own portfolio and you can manage 18% returns by utilizing options, by buying individual stocks, which was a huge part of my strategy. I don't usually buy index funds or ETFs. I buy individual stocks that are undervalued. Then all of a sudden you can do this with a lot less money, and I'm going to explain why in part number 4, which is massively important. So guys, we've covered a ton in just the last 6 minutes. If you're getting some value out of this, please smash the like button for me, subscribe if you haven't already, and just type the fire emoji in the comments section, and I'll continue going with this financial independence retire early series. But guys, this next part is incredibly important. So it's geo arbitrage. I'm in Mexico right now. You could move to the Philippines, Indonesia. I realize this is not for everybody, but many of us who strive to retire early, we're willing to do whatever it takes. And geo arbitrage is important because I mentioned 18% returns as kind of a benchmark. Well, if you have a $200,000 portfolio, which in this day and age is not actually a ton of money, if you're saving $1,000 a week, that puts you at 4 years out. This took me about 3.5 years to achieve. So theoretically, 3, 4, 5 years, you could do the very same if you're saving and investing about $1,000 a week. $200,000, 18% return would put you at 36 grand a year. And so if you're in the US, good luck retiring on $36,000 a year, unless maybe you're living off grid. But if you're here in beautiful Mexico, you can absolutely live on 36. That's 3 grand a month. And if you're in the Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, you're going to have an even richer life on that amount of money. So geo arbitrage is number 4. Do not forget that and start planning it out. Subscribe to this channel because I have some videos on certain neighborhoods that are incredibly budget friendly, but also still really close to the beach. I'll link one of those at the end of the video. So guys, number 4, geo arbitrage. Once you have your portfolio built, your savings, you're going to probably want to leave the US or Canada and find greener pastures and a place where the cost of living is much lower, where you can spend those hard-earned dollars or euros or pounds. So now guys, I'm going to share with you the number 1 thing to avoid during this process, and that is getting distracted by taking shortcuts. So when I was on my investing journey and building this wealth to retire early, a lot of people that I knew in my circle were making a ton on cryptocurrencies. Make sure that what you're investing in is actually cash flowing and investment grade. So Bitcoin is well established. I know people can make a lot of money on it, but does it really cash flow? Are there cash flows? Is it a cash flowing business? Not really. You're dependent on selling it for more than you bought it for, basically, to make money. So just avoid getting distracted by things that aren't even investment grade. Stick to investing, not betting or gambling. And then guys, I'm going to give you a pro tip here. So on these investments, make sure that you don't get excited too quick and sell too soon. Hey, I'm up 15% on this. Take long-term capital gains. Invest in things that pay qualified dividends so that you're tax advantageous. One pro tip is that if you're, say, a US tax resident and you have to pay federal tax no matter where you live in the world, make sure that you're putting yourself in a position to pay 0. And I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that. This is a massive pro tip. So this is what I mean. If you're making under, I think the number this tax year is around $42,000, you have to pay 0 federal tax on your qualified dividends and long-term capital gains. Yes, you heard that right. Now, state taxes depend on which state your address is in or you're a tax resident of. So, but there's also some workarounds with that, like escapees.com and physicaladdress.com. So you can have your state address in a state that's tax advantageous and doesn't have income tax, or has a very low income tax. But that's the key, is take long-term capital gains, get qualified dividends, and then keep your gains and total income under that threshold. If you don't need more than about 40 grand a year to live on, try to refrain from taking those gains so that you don't have to pay federal tax. I'm sure I'm probably going to piss off the US government a little bit, but yes, this is perfectly legal and above board. So hey, what can they do? Now you know, guys. That is a massive pro tip. Just type pro tip in the comments if you stuck around to this point of the video. So we did it, guys. I covered most of the important bases. I'll go into greater detail in further videos. Now, the biggest question that you can start playing with and having fun with is, when I'm ready to retire and geo arbitrage, where will I live? If you want to check out some very, very budget-friendly neighborhoods in Playa del Carmen, one that might work for you when you're ready to retire, check out this video right here. If you're interested in the neighborhood where I live currently, check out this video right here, where I'm living very well, right on that $3,000 a month budget. Guys, thanks again for stopping in for this video. Financial independence, retire early. That's what dreams are really made of. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you all so much. Rope Monster out.